It is Monday night, just after dinner, and I have started my fasting timer. So I haven't done a long fast in like a year and a half. So I thought, hey, let's do one. Actually, I was just like watching YouTube videos and learning more about fasting, and I just got like motivated to try doing one again. So I'm gonna do a 89, 90 hour fast. So from after dinner Monday until like about noon on Friday. So I'm just gonna take you along for the next few days. There's not gonna be any meals or anything, so I guess it's gonna be kind of boring, but I'm gonna talk about fasting. Julius is
pulling out his stuffing. Take it away.
Pulling out his stuffing. He loves doing that.
No,
though.
take it away.
So I do have a reputation of starting things like this and not finishing them. You guys just have never seen them because they never make it to YouTube. But this time's gonna be different. We're going 90 hours.
I think whether or not you make it, you should share
Post this?
Yeah.
We're gonna make it. Good morning, friends and family. It's day one of my fast. So I'm 16 hours and 20 minutes in. That's about 18% of the fast. It seems like a lot already. Wow, I'm already 18% done. I'm gonna go more in depth today on what I'm going to be eating and drinking during the fast. I'm not gonna be eating anything, but I am definitely going to be drinking some stuff. So I'm gonna have espresso, and I don't fully know what you should or shouldn't be consuming while on a fast. Right now, my thinking is no protein whatsoever, no amino acids, no carbs, no calories, essentially, right? Some people, a weird one people say is like bone broth. So to me, that's clearly a no-no. You don't want amino acids. It breaks the fast. But I am gonna just have some coffee. So like 3 of these a day or so, which is under 200 milligrams of caffeine. And I'm drinking water. Feeling pretty good, but it's only 16 hours, so it's really not that long. I'm feeling hungry.
How much fast are you into?
Hungry. It hasn't been too hard so far, but it's definitely not been easy. But here's where we're at.
It's too bright. Oh, yeah, I think I got it, yeah.
I almost had a moment of weakness driving. I was like, maybe I just shouldn't do this.
Arby's want it, Taco Bell want it.
I did say all that stuff. But that's to be expected. You always have little moments of weakness. I think like having some kind of reason for why you're doing it before you do it is good, which I don't have that strong of a reason. It's just like I kind of want to do it so I live longer and I'm healthier. I thought I would do a ketone test and a glucose test, 24-hour mark. So I'm not weighing myself because the point of it isn't like weight loss, and I feel like that's what everyone focuses on just so extremely intensely. This isn't for weight loss, this is just for other benefits. 0.3. I feel like my blood
You didn't give enough blood.
I didn't give enough blood, it seems
I would
like.
redo that.
Okay. See, there's human error in all these tests, so relying on them too heavily to me doesn't make a lot of sense. Going by how you feel is probably better. 0.6.
So unfortunately, you didn't take a morning test.
Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that would have been good to have to compare to right now. I mean, you're not even like fully into a 24-hour fast, so I don't think a ton is going on where your ketones should be like skyrocketing, you know, at this point.
I would have expected them to be slightly higher. My glucose also is kind of high, I would say. But yeah, we'll see how it progresses over the... I'll try doing like maybe every 12 hours or so.
And I'm about to have chicken drumsticks.
Nugget's having chicken drumsticks and I'm fasting.
In the air fryer. Well, I would do it with you if I didn't have a son to produce in about 9 weeks. And I'm starving.
Okay guys, I got the drug scale out and I am going to make myself some Sole water. I think that's what people call it. A salt that is dissolved in water. So I'm gonna do this and then have it later on today. I'm just gonna use some of this salt, and I think I'm gonna do 3 grams. I'm pretty sure 3 grams of salt is like about 13 to 1500 milligrams of sodium. Okay, so that's a little over 3 grams. It's kind of a lot, but should be good. I'm tired, I'm hungry. We are almost at the 50% mark. Feeling tired, feeling hungry. It's not fun. People that talk about fasting all make it seem like really easy. It's just like a decision you make. It's like, yeah, I did a 5-day fast, no big deal.
What they say that resonates with me the most is like, fasting is easier than restricting because it's binary. It's
continual calorie restricting, yeah.
It's like deciding to not eat. So it's never an option as opposed to like cutting out foods, you know.
Yeah, I think that's maybe true. That might be true. Because I've done a 1500 calorie diet when I was like 23. I just didn't know anything about it. It's so hard after a couple months. So I'm going to test my ketones and glucose.
We also have a show where we eat dinner on camera tonight. So Matt won't be able to eat with us.
I'm sad. Okay, so significantly my highest ketone reading since doing this fast. That seems more like what they should be. And I will say this fast has been easier than the one from I did like 18 months ago or however long ago it was. Because usually I wouldn't be able to do it on my own unless Mega was on my team and like pushing me along. But I'm able to stick to it pretty well, even though I almost broke and Mega like...
I'm still pushing you along a little bit.
The feeling I remember being consistent with the last time I did this and this time is like, my body just feels really tired and like I don't want to do anything physically, but like my mind is pretty strong and actually like maybe slightly elevated. So like I could read, I can watch shows and have fun, like entertaining my mind, but just my body.
You went on a long walk today.
Yeah, so for exercise, a lot of people ask about exercise. So I went on a walk, 2.5 mile walk or so. You can work out, you can lift, I'm not gonna do that. I'm taking it easier. What's up guys, just winding down, playing a little Nintendo Switch that we just got. Got Mario Kart, we got Mario Party, and now I'm gonna get Mario Tennis. End of day 2 here, a little over 48 hours. I'm feeling like pretty good. I think it's mostly mental hunger is the thing. And then every night, like last night and tonight, once dinner time, like the 2 to 3 hour window I usually eat dinner is over, I'm just not even hungry. You've probably experienced this too. If you miss a meal, you just end up not being hungry even though you haven't eaten. That's just hormones, leptin, stuff like that. Yeah, so Mega's saying I should talk about leptin and ghrelin, but I don't like know all of it to be able to like teach you guys. If you want to research, basically leptin and ghrelin, they're like hunger signaling hormones. Ghrelin, I don't know if it rises or it sinks at your typical meal timings, and it does that same thing even if you don't eat food. So that's kind of why you feel hungry or not hungry. Tomorrow, I promise, I'll talk about fasting protocols from experts, reasons why you might want to do a fast, things like that. Because I've been researching a little today. I want to just research a few more people on what they say about fasting, because everyone has different viewpoints. How was your dinner of chicken drumsticks? It smells so great. Good.
Yeah, I mean, your fast isn't even phasing me. If Matt was doing it fast or I was doing it fast, the opposite, we're just like, all right, I'm gonna do it too. You know, we kind of just get on board. But right now I'm just like, we're doing our own thing so much because like I'm pregnant and that's not something Matt can do. It hasn't phased me at all mentally or physically, and I'm feeling really good eating. so I'm glad I'm not fasting. But it's funny watching Matt like plan so far ahead. Like he's like, am I gonna break it tomorrow? Maybe not. Like he's like playing this little game in his head, which is cute.
The mental games, that's most of what fasting is, I feel like.
It is. It's a lot of like mental hurdles, mental feats.
The voice in your head, that is something that you need to develop over time, I've come to find. I'm not perfect at it, but I have definitely worked on it over time. Mega's watching a webinar for pregnancy.
Before having the C-section.
And you had a yogurt? How is it?
Make a difference
it's good.
in how much
It's really good.
It's this brand. It's new, I think. It's called Too Good. It's only 3 carbs. These guys are killing me over here with their lawn mowing. Okay, guys, it's morning of day number 3. It's about 9:45. Been up since 6 or so. Here's where we're at. So I got 25 hours left, but we're gonna talk about that. Tonight at about 5 or 6 p.m. I'm gonna have bone broth. I'm gonna start like a half-day bone broth type of a fast thing. And my thoughts behind that is gut repair. Bone broth seems to be good for that. I'm gonna make some homemade bone broth today. I gotta go out and get stuff for it, so I'll show you that. And I want to talk about what the experts have to say about fasting, what their fasting protocols are. So there's a few people that I would consider experts. There's probably more I don't know about, but Peter Attia, Rhonda Patrick, Dr. Rhonda Patrick, Dr. Jason Fung, and Megan Ramos, who we've actually had a podcast interview with Megan Ramos. And they're all coming at it from a little bit of a different perspective, so we'll talk about that. And then also Mike Mutzel from High Intensity Health YouTube channel. And I woke up this morning, took my glucose and ketone reading. It was, I think, I'll overlay it. It's like 2.6 ketones, 69-ish glucose, so pretty similar to yesterday evening. I think this evening, before I break my fast, is gonna be probably my highest reading. One thing I've noticed for sure is I've just been colder overall. I think that tends to happen with fasting. Like last night we went for a walk, Mega and I. She was like pretty warm and I was cold. Usually it's the opposite. So let's talk about these fasting protocols. So I think the main takeaway I've taken from just listening to a lot of these people talk about fasting, first thing to know is we don't know a lot of stuff. So the main reason people fast generally is for autophagy, cell regeneration, longevity, things like that. So that's the major context I'm talking about because that's kind of why I'm doing it. The thing is there's no way to measure autophagy. So when you ask things like, does black coffee break a fast? The real answer is no one really knows, but people will make like inferences. So like, for example, we can just go through these. Peter Attia, who seems to be very well respected, I trust his opinion. When he fasts, he drinks flat water, and he made that distinction, which was interesting to me. So like not carbonated water. He wouldn't make the distinction if it didn't matter, right? So I read into that a lot. Herbal tea. And then one that I thought was kind of weird was bouillon. So he actually uses bouillon cubes or just some kind of bouillon for his sodium. I think salt would just be better than bouillon, because bouillon might have like other things in it. So that's just me, but he does bouillon, so that's interesting. And then his question on does coffee break a fast? He says it depends on why you're fasting, which is what I always say. So if you're fasting for weight loss, it doesn't really matter what breaks a fast, because fasting doesn't make you lose more weight above and beyond the calorie restriction that you get from it. He says coffee alters the gastric pH. Basically, he says like if your reason for fasting is to give your whole digestive system a rest, coffee, probably not a good idea. Medication and vitamins. All caloric vitamins such as fish oil, vitamin D, those are relatively high calorie vitamins. So those he generally avoids. Branched chain amino acids, this is unanimous amongst everyone I'm going to talk about. They say do not consume those during a fast. Breaks a fast. Now, Dr. Rhonda Patrick, also very well respected, she doesn't put out her fasting protocol, but I listened to a few interviews of her. She is more weary of coffee. She thinks it probably does something to the fast, so you're not preserving 100% of the benefits of fasting, but this is just her thoughts. There's no proof of this. But she says there has been a lot of studies where people are fasting with coffee and they still get benefits over placebo. So would the benefits be even better if they didn't have coffee? We don't know that. Electrolytes during a fast, everyone recommends those. Then we have Dr. Jason Fung, most of you guys' favorite, and Megan Ramos, who is she like his assistant? They're partners of some kind, not romantically, but just professionally. We interviewed her and they tailor their advice generally to like people suffering from type 2 diabetes and obesity, right? And other ailments?
Yeah, like
Colitis, just mainly ailments. So their whole game is like, do whatever it takes to get into the mode of doing some fasting. So like if it's your first time ever fasting, if you need to have bone broth, if you need to have bulletproof coffee, have all those things. It's fine. You're working on your fasting muscle, which I would kind of agree with that. That seems like it makes a lot of sense. I think where people get into trouble is where they like then apply that, like these people are the experts, the foremost experts on fasting. All they do is fasting. They're giving advice to people who are trying to lose weight, help with diabetes. That's totally different from someone doing a fast for autophagy and more of like a biohacking type of fast. And I feel like that's what makes the confusion. So of course, bulletproof coffee and bone broth, those break a fast. Is it okay to have those if you're doing a fast for weight loss? Yeah, according to the experts. So if you're doing an actual long-term fast, according to Megan Ramos, black coffee, water, and tea, and then electrolytes. That's what they recommend. So that's pretty unanimous amongst everyone. And then Mike Mutzel sent me just his little tips. He's a big fasting guy. And he's just really smart about nutrition. He says exercising in the morning is good for depleting muscle glycogen and to help just get your muscles active so you're preserving more muscle during the fast. So he would recommend some kind of exercise every morning. He says stay hydrated, use electrolytes, those are big keys. He's not into dry fasting. That's a new thing a lot of people are into, just no water, no showers, just nothing entering or on your body for extended periods of time. Be cognizant of your mental strength around people when they're cooking and eating. Like Mega yesterday was eating delicious drumsticks and it made me want to eat them. And then he also says no bone broth, no collagen, that all breaks a fast. That's all the info on fasting I've accumulated. Okay, so it's around 2 p.m. and I am going to make my bone broth, which I'm going to break my fast with around 5 or 6 p.m. today. So this is what I got. They had a little bit limited selection at Whole Foods. So I got some of these turkey necks, which I don't know, I've never done them before. I got these chicken backs, which I don't know about those either. Typically what I like is chicken feet or turkey feet. Those add the most gelatin. And then I always have some kind of beef bones. I like to look for the ones that are more like kneecaps. Like you can see that's kind of like a kneecap. They will also typically have these marrow bones, which I don't like to waste those on bone broth. I actually like to roast the marrow bones and eat the marrow because that's like, you know, very nutrient dense. I feel like it's a little wasted when you make it into bone broth. So they're there. I'm gonna pop them in on broil for like 5 minutes, then flip them, and then 5 more minutes. Well, just a little color. I don't go too crazy with it. And this is all that goes into it. You can do vegetables like carrots. People like it. Adds some nice sweetness to it. We're doing it in the Instant Pot. That is a pressure cooker, which takes the time down from like 3 days, like 1 to 3 days, and it does it all in like 3 hours. So it's really nice to have for this purpose. So yeah, I just put them in here, I fill it up with water, and then I set it for 3 hours. Mega just said she's surprising me because it's almost Father's Day, my first ever Father's Day. I guess not really because the kid's not born yet. She got me a massage for tonight at 4:30, which I don't think is great to do massages when you're like 3 days fasted, but we'll see if I pass out. Ketone's pretty high, but they generally rise throughout the day. So like, if you think yesterday my morning ketones were 1, my afternoon ones were 2.5. Today my morning ones were 2.5, afternoon 3.5. So just continually rising. My blood glucose has been pretty stable, like high 60s. Okay, so here's the bone broth I made. Pretty concentrated. I didn't use much water and I used a lot of bones. And here is my cup of bone broth, which I'm gonna drink now. The official duration of the fast, 72 hours, exactly. Here's first sip. We're in business over here. Okay, so I'm gonna have one of these, probably one more tonight, like later on, 8 or 9 p.m. What's Mega having for dinner?
I'm just using the bone broth to make egg drop soup.
So last night I had 2 cups of bone broth. This morning I had 2 cups of bone broth, and now I'm going to break my fast, but I wanted to test just one last time. My ketones are 1.8 and my blood glucose is 91. So the drop in that is probably partially because we went to the gym this morning and because I've been having bone broth. So I'm right about at 89 hours now, but for the last about 12 hours, maybe a little more even, like 16 hours, I've been having bone broth. So yeah, that's it, that's a wrap. Feel pretty good. I actually feel quite good, I would say. My body's just like a little tired, but my mind is better than ever. And I'll show you what I'm breaking my fast with. It looks pretty big, but it is like a smaller meal for me. I think you should probably do a smaller meal for your first meal. So this is like 4 ounces of beef liver and then 3 eggs. So it's like 500 calories. Yeah, I'm just gonna eat this, see how I feel. I think you wanna ease into it. You don't just wanna have like a really big meal after fasting for a few days. This will get me going, and then I'll also show you my dinner tonight.